Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Astral Tourist, broadcasting live from planet Earth. I think I'm going to stick with that one. So it's been a while since I got on here on YouTube, almost a week, I think. So anyway, Mars. I was so wild about Mars, and now I'm still a little tired, and I am about to tell you why. So, my original intention with astral travel to Mars, specifically, was to see the obelisks, go back in time into the millions of years, because that's when I had a map from, and you can see part 1 for that. I have to divide these into parts. Anyways, the last video. And possibly to meet the makers of the obelisks. I just kind of threw that intention in there all willy-nilly. And it turns out I kind of got into trouble for that with the Galactic Council. The Galactic Council. There are different ones. I'm not even sure which one this one was. I suspect one of the ancient old races from like pre-Egypt. So anyway, I was under like a really bad psychic attack. I didn't even know it. I knew like in my waking life I was feeling a little off, but I like fell asleep after I had made the attempt to see the makers of the obelisks or go to Mars or see the obelisks themselves. I was very excited. I was raring to go. And I knew I felt a little off earlier that day. And time is really fluid, remember. It doesn't always seem that way, but from different perspectives, it really is. And I can't even explain it properly. So I fell asleep. I guess something must have been really wrong. I remember everything like being a blackout. And then suddenly I'm appearing in Galactic Council. And I was informed by my quote-unquote lawyer acting in my behalf. I'm going to call her my lawyer, but she's way more than that, actually. She's a vast galactic being of some renown and all this. But anyway, she appeared as a thick white serpent surrounding me in a very thick layer of scales. I was like inside of her looking out, and I saw 2 sharp gleaming teeth coming down. And these beings are known more for their wisdom than their violence. And so I asked about the teeth. I was like, what are the teeth for? What's the show of the teeth for? And she said, the gleaming points of wisdom. And then like another translation is the 2 wisdoms. And another one was something else about not tearing a hole in the fabric of, I don't know, it's like some old ancient saying. And I missed the rest of it. So, okay, I was under some sort of psychic attack, which triggered her to take over and get me into council. So I was happy about that. Like, okay, I have a guardian at work here. Thank you. And these serpent beings in our lore and history are sometimes known as Nagas, Nagas, serpent beings of great wisdom. They have different kinds of reputations. Some are known to be harmful, actually. Some are known to be very wise. Others are known to basically do what they want, like humans do. However, they do not act like humans. They are not human. So this is obviously a wisdom being type of Naga. So I was really happy she was there. And plus, like, wow, what a grand showing. Like, hey, your great 2 points of wisdom there with the sharp teeth is more like, don't mess with this woman here. I know she didn't mean it like that, but, you know, I'm looking out and seeing those, and I'm like, okay, wow, I got into council. All for trying to go to Mars? What's this about, And it's not really about Mars. It's not. It's about, my asking to see the makers of the obelisk. I guess it's like asking to see who made the internet or who made the universe. It's a very serious kind of a question. I was serious while asking it. And my rights as a galactic, pre-Egyptian societal citizen were called into question by a different council member. And this is what triggered all of this. And apparently he was giving me a little bit of the psychic onslaught, if not all of it. I think the main problem was coming from him. And we're going back to a society which I was getting all this information kind of downloaded into me. And also, I knew a lot of it already. I was just the memories were being triggered that were already there. We forget so much when we come into a human existence. And a lot of this stuff was just rushing back in. This is a very law-abiding structure and society. They have their own ways, though. And in some ways, it kind of reminds me of like the old Roman forums or the Greek societies where people will go in and scream. They scream. And this is not considered anger. It's just how they do it. So he was using like the old tongues to scream at me, which I interpreted as a kind of a psychic attack. Her beingness was somehow alerted to this. She responded, and we went into council. So here I am in council, and I was trying to explain about the obelisks just telepathically, and my desire to go see them. Is this what the problem is? And then the rest of it was explained that that's not the issue at all. It was asking about seeing the makers, which is a much bigger deal. Because they're very ancient beings. Some of them prefer their privacy. Others might be willing to speak. Apparently there is more than one maker, way more than one maker. Like who made the internet? It's more of a network, apparently. And they're all very ancient beings, and this goes so far back, I can't even interpret it in human terms. So I decided, that's okay. I can pass on who made them. How about the obelisks themselves? What about the obelisks and Mars? Are those okay, or am I going to get some slack for that, And it turns out that the obelisks are fine. I mean, that's why they're put there, to be seen. Some are power centers, mainly, but mostly they are there to tell a story. They are there to be remembered on purpose. They want them to be seen, but it's more about how they are seen and perceived. How the story is told is meaningful to this race of beings and people. And so they want the story told more slowly. And it's not just story, it's stories. And kind of likened it to an Akashic Records, but not really. I have not actually been to one of the obelisks yet in the Astral, so I can't tell you my perception of them yet. But this is how they were likening them in the council. It's about how the story's told. It's supposed to be slower so that you have the background, because the perspective really matters. The setting matters. The time period matters. The way that it's told even matters. And all of that is very meaningful, and that's why so much work went into these obelisks. Let's see, what else can I share about my time there? The one man who was calling me into question also began to question my citizenship. Apparently I have a kind of galactic citizenship because I'm an old soul. I was actually part of one of these, maybe his society, I think. I don't have all the memories anymore. I mean, they flooded into me then in the astral, and then now the memories are not there. So, anyway, he was calling into question my citizenship. Other people were chiming in, saying, no, she's just old. This is what I remember, the fragments. I just have fragments now. Except about the lawyer. Man, she's clear as a bell. So anyway, I was trying to say this isn't about my citizenship. I didn't mean to get into all of this. I'm not here to challenge anybody. Let's take a step backwards here because I can not ask to see the makers. That's fine. Let them tell their stories slowly. That's all good with me. But these others were getting into very heated arguments about my citizenship. Because I'm not holding up my end of the bargain. I'm supposed to be an active citizen. I'm supposed to be an ambassador of goodwill. And I have not been speaking properly. That part's kind of fuzzy now. I haven't been coming forward. I haven't been attending council meetings. And so all of that is what it's about. During one point, the lawyer lady, being Naga, whatever we shall call her, she overlaid like a diagram of the obelisk, only it was more like 30 feet tall. And so, and it was marked in different colors. And the bottommost colors were blacked out, like these are energy centers, particles, places not to go, restricted access, all this other stuff. I got a feeling of that's correct, but who knows? Maybe they just don't want those parts seen. Maybe those are really just high energy particles down there. Visit at your own risk, And then, like above that, there were fuzzy layers with some different colors going on. And she's like, these are the more personal stories. Like, better to have special invitation. Visiting the more central area, which was like below the half line, actually. If we take the whole tall thing, then the half line has some silver coming down, and then like the fuzzy area, and then the black part, or the darker part at the bottom. Let me see how I can describe this better. Well, just think of like the central area as private apartments, I guess. Like, you don't just walk into somebody's story unannounced. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And then the upper areas are silver areas, shining, gleaming, clear or silver, not white for some reason. Maybe sometimes light blue they might appear. And sometimes the obelisk looks like it has a point, and other times it does not. In this version of the map she's showing me, like some of the particles keep going, and of course there's a point. But the flat part is correct also, like the ones without the point. So I'm not sure what that's about up there, but so if we encounter an obelisk, it's better to go for the upper, let's say, not 2/3, because then we're getting into the private apartments area. The upper region is fine. It's the safest area to not get caught up in the stronger particles, which I think are more about energy generation and regeneration. Actually, than just being private, super private, but I don't know for sure. So that's what I got. And that's what she was willing to show me based on the information shared in council, and I guess what I'm, quote unquote, allowed to know for the moment. In my current human form, all of this gets very, very tricky at certain points, and then it's very clear in other areas. Like, oh, well, She still hasn't spoken, this one man said. He really wanted me to speak, this one that triggered everything. Accusing me of not being a citizen and all this, or not remembering. It's more like he was accusing me of not remembering being a citizen. And it was said that, if she's going to be an ambassador, she needs to be speaking. She needs to speak up, So I didn't even really remember about that. So, it's hard to remember back. Oh my gosh, I'm trying. The memories have faded. I waited a few days to share, and you'll find out why soon. Really soon here. This other man was screaming in my defense that this whole thing wasn't even about my being a citizen, that this other man was calling me into council on purpose and trying to trigger me or something into some kind of action. And it wasn't right. I have my rights. I have my citizen rights that are not only citizen rights, but there's a word for it that they had that translated like, it's gone. Wow, like, I guess the closest is diplomat, but not really like a citizen plus. I don't know. I guess it really does translate to diplomat or ambassador. And it's just because I've been neglecting my duties. And he was saying, well, she's old and she's on Earth. And I mean, what do you expect? It's taken some time. But this other guy kept going on. And my lawyer, she didn't actually look at me, but I had the feeling of it, like telepathically, like we were one. We were together. We were in union spiritually, and I kind of got this like wink off from her, like speak. And oh, did I? In the ancient tongue, it was very guttural. It was like there were all kinds of different sounds. My tongue was going in ways I didn't know it could go. It was all subconscious. I mean, it was just coming out of me about, at the time I thought it was like, how dare you question my citizenship? And there was something else, and like, you old whatever. And it's so much is gone now from my memory that, anyway, afterwards, no, not afterwards, this other guy intervened again. This other one was really loud on the left-hand side, way in the back. And by the way, I think there were 16 members there. I had the feeling of 16 beings, but only like a few of them were saying anything. And this one that kept speaking in my favor and my rights as a citizen, even though I didn't think they were ever in question. And it turns out they really weren't, but it was more about my lack of speaking up. So he's back there and he says, don't give her laryngitis. And then I remembered I have a physical body, and am I going to get laryngitis? But he was talking more to my lawyer lady there. And then he started telepathically screaming at this other guy for making me use my voice when I'm a human, and he knows I can't make those kinds of sounds properly. So they began their own little argument there. And, oh my gosh. And so I asked the lawyer lady, what did I say to him? And she likened it, whatever I was saying, to accusing him of like something about snail slime. Like, I gave him an old world kind of joke / cuss / curse, but not really like in good jest. That can only be really known or said by somebody who lived in the time period. And I tried to redefine that and say, do you mean like a beetle? Because I know about the beetles in Egypt. And she's like, no, it's a snail slime. saying. So I woke up after that, and I've been giving it a lot of thought all week long. And I did wake up with laryngitis. I woke up actually still speaking. Remember the time is kind of slippery thing? Well, I woke up still speaking it while still having all this other information from the rest of the conversations. And the sounds were coming from way deep down in my vocal cords. My tongue was, like I said, going every which way. And I did have laryngitis for about 3 days, not full on, but, I took a ton of vitamin C, antioxidants, and, I'm fine. But when your galactic lawyer tells you to speak, I was thinking I should, even if it's to preserve my rights as whatever kind of citizen or ambassador, then I better be speaking. And maybe that guy has a point. Maybe I should be doing more, even though I'm on planet Earth dealing with everything here. Of course, the Earth lifetime takes precedence over this other stuff, but maybe he has a point. And I've been thinking about that. I have this feeling like he just did all this on purpose. He triggered it. Maybe he's some old friend, that old buddy of mine from the old days. I mean, these people were rougher in court and speech, and times were very different then. I remember that. And maybe this is just his way of, giving me a little bit of a wake-up call. So as far as the obelisks, they're not only on Mars. They've been placed in various locations. That's right. I was told that too, although I still haven't been inside one or to one. I don't know how it actually feels. Like Astral Club was saying, you get the pulling sensation. And it is, I believe that some may only be power generators. I'm not sure. But the ones that have the stories still have a power generating thing on the bottom there, unless I'm just totally wrong about that. And those are just the more private sectors. The overall information I can bring back from this is that the top third is really the place to get into one. Get in there and you're not, interrupting anything. So you have to be focused more on that top part. Whether it has a pointy bit or not, or if it's flat, fine. That part doesn't seem to matter. They may have that pulling effect all across the board, not just on Mars. I don't know, because I haven't actually been in one yet. I am looking forward to it. And they were put there to be discovered, so that's really good news for anybody trying to get it to an obelisk. That's it for now. Have a great weekend, a wonderful life, a happy intergalactic existence all the way around. And I will be doing a lot of thinking about my experience with the council. Happy astral travels.